Yeah. Shoot, gotta switch over to here, man. Welcome back to No Cap with your boy. EC live and in color. And to make a few tweaks. So ride with me, y'all. A few other things I wanna adjust and change just to make this thing a little more personable, but in due time. Story time, right? Crazy situation. I was having a conversation with a friend from college, right? And conversation was like, why you don't take a lot of pictures? I'm like, because I'm too busy enjoying what I got going on to stop what I'm doing, to memorialize it, memorialize it, however you prefer to pronounce it. And then talking to one of my guys, I'm like, bro, we don't got no pictures doing nothing because we was too busy enjoying the environment and the space to stop and capture it. And I'm talking to the lady, right? She's like, yeah, I always got pictures of myself everywhere doing everything. I'm like, that's cool, but why? It's like, yeah, just to have them. Like, so you scroll through the pictures and you make sure you relive and rehash every moment from every picture you take. Like, no, I'll just take a bunch of them and then I'll post a bunch of them to social media. And the rest of them are either live in my phone forever or they'll get deleted if they are horrendous in her eyes. Like, nah, I don't do that. It's not my kind of hobby. Instead, I do things like watch anime, watch wrestling. I go out in nature. Like all the photos on my phone are either of food that I've cooked, food that I've eaten, sights that I've seen, or just random things from being out and about. So you could get a cliff view. You could get a video view of me climbing a mountain. Could be a dish I made or something I saw online that I plan on cooking. I'm like, yeah, it's my hobby. And immediately she's judging like, you like to be outside. Yeah. What's wrong with that? You watch wrestling. Yeah, what's wrong with that? You watch anime. Yeah. What's wrong with that? And when I asked the question, she gave me a similar response to what I usually get or what people online usually get when talking about their hobbies, right? Where it's, I don't see the purpose in it. I had to break it down. I watch anime because the storytelling is amazing. Each different show will harp on a different idea, and then the entire show will be based around the idea. It's not built around the characters, it's built around the idea. So, like, say, folks who watch Naruto, whole show is about perseverance. Summed up, my favorite show is One Piece. The character development, sensational. Like, the overarching point of the show is a whole bunch of foolishness going on in the world. A lot of evil. The people that you think are bad or good, the people you think are good or bad. There's the duality of everything going on around you. And if one person isn't there or doesn't participate in the story, the entire story changes, which is similar to how life is happening. The people you think are bad in your life, in everyday life, politicians, businessmen, people you think are bad, majority of the times they're good. The people you think you need to support, terrible people. And you can go through each anime show saying there's always going to be a bigger point to be made for each story. Amazing. It's all about storytelling. Same with wrestling. Wrestling, storytelling. And wrestling is the overarching point or example for the episode, because for the longest, wrestling was just underground. It was niche. Either you were really into it or you were disgusted by it. And there was a small number of people who were really into it. But it never stopped being underground. It never stopped being niche. It just got to a point where people were so devoted and they were so unmoved by outside opinions on it that you're not going to sway supporters away from supporting what they like. And because of that devotion or commitment to the hobby, the stars become bigger than stars. They supersede the sport or the venue. And they become like folk heroes. There's folk who ain't never watched wrestling who know who an Undertaker is. The biggest star in the world is The Rock, a wrestler. Stone Cold Steve Austin, recognizable face for people who've never watched wrestling. Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, so on and so forth. For a sport to be so niche and to be almost like frowned upon to watch and ridiculed, to be ridiculed to a point where people tried to shame you for watching it, and then you be so committed that you unbothered by the ridicule. Now it's openly accepted because people can't sway you off of that. That's the level of commitment to authenticity people should have, where you understand who you are, what you like, what you do, up to a point where nobody can talk you down from it. And the only option they have is to get out your face or to accept it as a bigger group. Because in return, I asked the same question back to her, like, you like taking pictures at all these venues. Why do you take pictures for? What's the bigger point of your pictures? You just taking them just to take them? Why do you post them on social media? You don't really care about anybody you follow or who follows you. You're doing it just to be seen. So what's the point of doing that? And when you flip the questioning around, you don't get the same level of detailed response. I'm like, what's openly acceptable is to just do things with no understanding of why you're doing it. No passion behind it, just brainless, impulsive copying of what you've seen. You can't do that with hobbies because hobbies require passion. You have to be committed to your hobby. Folks not committed, which is why they just be doing what the fuck ever. But away from the story, back to the point of the show today. I wanted to put WWE, but I ain't really want no issues. So you see the name of it. The world's wrestling with entertainment. It's a bunch of folk who don't do what they actually want to do out of fear of judgment. Sucks. Growing up or being born in a certain time period, right, when anime was Similar to how wrestling was, anime was so niche. You had to be weird to like anime. But we didn't care. And it's easy to take that response or to take that stance when similar to wrestling, the hobby is violence or it's based in violence because a lot of the animated folk watch Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, Dragon Ball, things along that line. Violence. I enjoy it because it's violent. So you understand how this is impacting me. So in order to not incur the wrath of what I've been watching, just move around. You get out the space and allow me to enjoy it. And then as people leave you be and allow you to enjoy it and take solace in what you enjoy and what your passions are, then you open up the door for more genres. You go from watching Dragon Ball to watching Sailor Moon. Yeah, it's still some fighting in there, but it's just not just testosterone driven. And you get away from Sailor Moon and go a little bit farther until you watching shows about replacement girlfriends and cooking shows, but Japanese cooking shows. There's nobody to judge you now because the door has already been opened. It's already openly accepted. You can enjoy what you enjoy without having to look over your shoulder and be paranoid about what you like. Similar to wrestling. Folks was getting hurt wrestling. Wrestlers was killing themselves. They was dying about that. It was, even though it was a show, that shit bled over to real life because it was real life consequences of that. So folk had to step back. There was only so much, this is fake, that you can accept when people real life dying, not just on TV, but in reality. Folks had to take a step back. Now, it could be the softest wrestling you ever seen, less painful than ever, less violent, less aggressive, but the door's already been open. So it's easy to accept your hobby. And that, honestly, point of that is, that go with all hobbies. Before it was always a requirement for there to be an excuse on why you enjoy whatever hobby you have. Folks always wanted to infringe upon other people. This has to make sense to me, or it has to be useful to me in order for me to not judge you about it. Like photography. I'm pretty sure once upon a time when you was carrying around them large cameras, folks was like, you look stupid. You got to take it apart. You got to carry it in 3 different bags. You stop, it take you 15 minutes to take a picture. Then it's going to take you 3 days to develop it. Stupid hobby. And then people start getting portraits taken and their photos taken and commemorating things that they cared about. And then it's cool to take pictures of just random birds you walk past now. You want to take a picture of your house with your lawn looking as nice as possible. You can do that now. It's cool. Openly acceptable. Nobody's going to judge you. Smooth. Hiking. I'm not going hiking. I don't want to be around bugs. I don't like being outside. I don't want to get dirty. I don't want to get sweaty. You dirty. You doing all that. Same process. You can go through each hobby. There's a large group of people who, if it didn't serve them, they don't care about it. Not interested in it. Don't judge you for it. And again, wrestling being the main one, because if you follow the thought process, nerds, and this is how it went, nerds watch wrestling. Until women started seeing how attractive the wrestlers are. Now there are women watching wrestling. And the women are now with the nerds watching wrestling. So Men are following the women. Now they watching wrestling. Now if the attractive women and the men's men are watching wrestling, it's cool for anybody. Because who's gonna make fun of an attractive woman or a man? A man's man, one that's testosterone driven, big, stocky looking. Nobody. They're just gonna let it slide. And then whatever they do goes. But then you get to figuring out, all right, bet. So if these people can get away with whatever they want to do without judgment, who are the people that are now choosing not to do the judging? And when it comes to your hobbies or your preferences, they should just be completely independent. The things that drive you, that motivate you, that inspire you are all personal. And the mixture of your trauma responses, your experiences, and your passions are what make you you. So if you neglecting your passions out of fear of judgment, you can't be your complete self. You can't be authentic. You can't be who you were born to be because you worried about what other people think when they don't matter. They're not going to help you become more of yourself. Nobody's going to help you be you. That's an independent journey you got to take by yourself. Because the destination is one you're going to end up at by yourself. And folks will really neglect being the best version of themselves for the sake of somebody's opinion, somebody's negativity, or somebody, majority of the times, who's uncomfortable with themselves enough to do the same. And the arching point or the end point that I wanted to get to with this conversation about hobbies, right? Before I show just how deep I am with my shit. There's always the question or the point of they. And you hear that a lot, right? You want to be authentic. You gotta be the most genuine version of yourself. So when you communicate, you gotta communicate genuinely. When you address a problem, you have to address the problem genuinely as it is. So if you interacting with people, you have to then address the people directly, genuinely, authentically. We hear it in rap music all the time, or hear it in different spaces all the time of they hating, they don't want you to win, they don't like when you successful, they want you to do bad. Who is they? Are you saying they just because you needed to psychologically hype yourself up, or are you aware of the people who are in the way of you being the best version of yourself? If you saying it just to psych yourself up, it's not necessary. You can self-motivate just by pushing yourself instead of imagining somebody pulling you. Two ways to exercise: push and pull. You can be pushing yourself towards whatever goal you need instead of imagining people pulling you away from it. But on the other hand, right, if you know who's in your way, why not speak on it? Like, I'm going to go through a bunch of different scenarios, right? Because I understand who my they is. Because again, depending on what your passions are, your interests are, and your experiences, they is going to be different. Who were on the opposing side of your progression through life. In the professional field, they is white people or white men. There's a structure that was established by white men, older white men, passed down to their kids. And whether they acknowledge it or not, their kids reverberate that same thought process, the same behaviors, the same structure that push people like myself down. There have been a few stories of young ladies who have applied to hundreds of jobs, one marking themselves as African American, and through the same applications, then marking themselves as Caucasian. African American got a little response. When they acknowledge themselves as Caucasian, with the same resume, the response rate was higher. That's also represented in pay gap. White men are more likely to pay white men more than anybody else. That's how you keep your resources. DEI was created in order to be more inclusive. The biggest benefactors of DEI were white women because that's who created feminism. Feminism was created for white women to get things that they demanded of white men. Hasn't worked. So they'll turn it into other things and then keep up the fight even when they don't need to. But as far as impacting black men, least likely to get hired because the prejudices are always there in the workplace. Not going to be as intelligent, going to be more intimidating, more violent some way, some shape or form, going to make people more uncomfortable. Can't communicate as well, not as intelligent, all of these prejudices and terrible ideas that impact professional opportunities. Don't have to be real, but it's how white men think, and they pass that thinking on to their white children. And then through feminism, white women try to pass that on to black women and other women. And here you are. Or another example how this is real. The price of college started going up when black kids started attending college at a higher rate. And as black kids started graduating college at a higher rate, now they get rid of middle management jobs, which are the jobs that are the first premier step to going from low class to middle class. So you're going to college. The jobs that you're going to college for are now disappearing. You're taking out bigger loans to go to college. So either staying in college longer, trying to fight for the jobs that are a step above that, or graduate with a whole lot more debt to work jobs that you could have worked without going to college. Meanwhile, the same jobs that you're going to college for and trying to collect all these resources and connections for, white kids can grow up and on a certain birthday just walk into the job. Regardless of character, regardless of personality, simply through connection. Tough, ain't it? Because the word that they try to push towards black children is recidivism. We're going to put you in the school to prison pipeline. You're bound to commit a crime. And the chances of you committing a crime again after that are going to be high because it's going to put you in situations where there are limited options. Then you have favoritism, where personal feelings come into play on who's getting hired. I like that person, even though your prejudices and your experiences impact whether you like somebody or not. And step above favoritism is what I was just speaking about, nepotism. Your family is going to make sure you straight, regardless of what kind of person you are. And going through the professional ranks, all of those things are in the way. So the they, white men, the offspring of slave owners, when it comes to social, personal, again, white people being the majority. So white men, and a big one, when you're talking about socially, this is more white women than it is white men. White women are out socializing a whole lot more. Prejudice really comes into play. If you go to a restaurant, a park, any kind of environment in which the majority of patrons isn't African American or another minority group, chances are you're gonna feel the prejudice, whether there's in the lack of eye contact, which is the lack of acknowledgement, avoidant behavior, trying not to walk too close, giving you the awkward or anxious smile, the awkward or aggressive stares, the uncomfortable conversation, the hushed tones, make it hard to socialize and interact, because the passive aggressive behavior that's fueled by prejudice and racism exists in those spaces. And to avoid the awkwardness, a lot of people avoid those environments and avoid those spaces. Not me. You have no reason to not like me. You don't know me. I don't know you. You watch a lot of the news, and black people are portrayed as criminals through the news. So you assume that because of my stature and because of the color of my skin, the environment is now not as safe. And doesn't bother me, because in a way, you're correct. Environment is not a space. I mean, the environment is not a space that's as safe as if it were just white people, because now there's certain things and certain behaviors that you can't express because we're not going to do that. Disrespect will not be tolerated. So the way you would talk about black people when there are none around, can't exactly do that. That's not a safety problem, more so as it is an opportunity to grow and be decent. But folks still take that as not as safe. Affects where you want to be at. The average human doesn't like confrontation. But like folk, we don't too much mind it, because our natural interaction is confrontational. Doesn't mean it has to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be argumentative. But confrontation, banter, going back and forth, we live for that. We do it every day. To go past the social, right? Then you get into the digital, your digital imprint, what you're leaving online. Another space where there's obstacles, because if you're not behaving how the masses behave, again, we're gonna make an example of you. Like, thing with social media now, right, is folks, especially younger folks, I'm gonna have multiple Instagram pages. I'm not gonna post nothing on any of them. If you wanna be cool, you wanna ride the wave, you should have social media. Don't display anything on it. I ain't gonna do that. Cause what's the point of having the social media if you're not gonna use it? I can still interact with people. Okay, don't need a page to do that. That passive aggressive, feminine interaction. I don't do that. Cool. And just to fit in, I'm not gonna act. I'm not gonna like the hip hop effect. I'm not gonna normalize mental illness just to be a part of the group. You raised in a black family. Shit, if all your friends gonna jump off a bridge, you gonna follow them? No, I'm not. You see somebody else hit their head on the wall, you gonna follow right after them? No, thank you. So whatever y'all doing online, I ain't got to do it. I'm gonna do what I want in this space, regardless of how you feel about it. Then you get into the area of hobbies. Same mindset. Only this kind of people do these things. Nah, I do it because I like it. It goes to anime. It used to be women making fun, and not just any women, just the cool women, the popular girls. You watch anime, you weird. So, I mean, mean girls, the folks who are attractive enough that people give them leeway. We're gonna make fun of you because we're attractive about your hobby that we don't share. When you kids, you want to be accepted, so that means something. As an adult, like, and that's the thing about dealing with the mean girls is once you don't acknowledge their opinion, you're free. You can do what you want. I was always hard to bully gothic kids because they literally don't care. So it's easy for them to do what they want. So anime was easy. Want wrestling. Man, that's fake. Okay. It's entertaining. Majority of the people who said wrestling is fake were the same people who would go to the movies and then have an opinion on it. Didn't matter. Didn't have an opinion. The movie is fake. What you saw is what it is. All the hypotheticals, any of that don't matter. Music. Folks like hip hop artists, they always complain about the Grammys and not getting the respect they deserve. Like, that's not why you made the music. You don't make music for awards. You make music to express your creativity. And then for some folk to make money. Last I checked, you don't get a you don't get a pay raise because you won a Grammy. It's the same with movies. Like, you don't earn more money for winning an award for what you did. You already got paid for it. So why does it matter how anybody felt about it? Especially critics. And that's the big word about who the they are is who are the critics? Who are your critics? In each situation, with each hobby, each passion you have, who are the critics? As well as you know your hobby and you know yourself, you know what you find pleasure in. Know your critics. Because just because they're critical don't mean you can't have a honest interaction or conversation with them. Like, yeah, all right, why are you critical of what I like? How's what I'm doing affecting your life? Okay, bet. Cool. You judging. But remember, it's a two-way street. So what do you like to do? Why do you like to do it? What got you interested in it? The thing a lot of artists, a lot of athletes, and a lot of entertainers say is the people who are the most critical are the people who never accomplish it. The people who are the most critical, ones who are judging you for your hobbies, are the ones who don't have hobbies. The people who hate you, who despise you, who are uncomfortable around you, majority of the time, they are people with no reason not to. They're more uncomfortable with themselves. You can try to describe why you're uncomfortable around black people, but all it's going to say is that you're really just uncomfortable with yourself because you're a piece of shit. And again, back to wrestling, right? The thing about wrestling is there's a baby face, there's a heel. Baby face, the good guy, person that the crowd roots for, person that's over. The crowd wants to see them succeed, wants to see them perform, wants to see them successful. The heel, folk that people can't stand, want to hear less from, want to see them lose, want the worst for them. It's the same when you're talking about your hobbies and going through life. There's a large group that want to see positive people or baby faces succeed. It's natural. It's completely natural for humans to want to see people that they relate to succeed. Just as natural as it is for people who see bad people or heels fail. The problem is figuring out who's who and acknowledging that. In the professional world, I've grinded my entire life to go through elementary, middle, high school, through college, making connections, studying, interacting with professors and with faculty and with my peers in order to obtain diplomas and degrees to make myself viable in the workplace. So why don't you want me to succeed? Because I don't look like you. Okay, bet. Work like me? Oh, you did, but okay. You prioritize the same things I prioritize because we work in the same field. Okay. We have the same interests. Oh, we don't. My priorities are being successful and maximizing my skills and resources. And when you ask this line of questioning, your priorities, when you have to weigh being successful versus interacting with who you want to interact with, your priority is to be around people like me. That makes you a heel. Somebody that you should be rooting for, you want the worst for. Definition of a heel. Socially, I'm doing nothing to interrupt your peace. You enjoy this environment. I enjoy this environment. I have free time to participate in it. I have free time to participate. I have knowledge that this space exists. You have knowledge. You don't want me in space while you're in this space. Why is that? You don't want me to enjoy what you enjoy because you don't want to see that you have anything in common with someone like us. Having anything in common makes you uncomfortable, regardless of who I am, what kind of character I showcase, what I add to the space, regardless of any of that. You don't want to have anything in common with somebody like me. Why? Because you want to feel like elevated and in a position above me that I can't afford or don't deserve to be in the same space as you. That's how heels talk. You're a heel. Hobbies. I enjoy doing this, and that. It's not destructive to anybody. It's positive. It's entertaining. I find pleasure in it. You don't understand it. You don't personally like it. It's different from how you live your life. So you criticize. It's different. So it must be wrong, must be evil, must be frowned upon. Makes you a heel. Crazy thing about interacting with your hobbies, right? Or as you can see, this is all just a metaphor. Hobbies are a metaphor. A lot of folk go through their life like Hulk Hogan. And he's a good example because he just passed and there was a big dialogue about his legacy. A lot of people go through life like Hulk Hogan. I'm a superstar. I'm bigger than big. Main character energy. I'm doing the absolute best I can. I'm striving to be the best I can. I make decisions that are best for me, and the world is gonna love it. I'm going to, I'm going right to the top. I'm gonna do what I want to do for me. Whether that was an individual thought or whether they just following the masses. Yeah, it's hot, so I'm doing. This is what I like to do, so this is what I'm doing. Feeling like babyface, a good guy. But if you were to look at the behavior, oh yeah, what you like to do is follow the crowd. And anybody that doesn't follow the crowd, you shame them to try to get them back in line with the crowd. If things don't look how you're being, what's the word? You don't want to say brainwashed. You want to expand the vocabulary. But what's the word for it? It's not coached, not trained, not formatted. Have to find the nearest Google app. Not coaxed, not persuaded, not tempted, not intense. Let's just say programmed. And you're being programmed and you're being fashioned to think and behave. A lot of that is heel behavior. Things have to be your way. If they're not your way, lash out, ostracize, belittle, criticize. Heel behavior. So the folks who hate on your hobbies, whether it be taxidermy, stacking cards, doing magic, once upon a video games you did once upon a time, or whether it be wrestling. The folks who fight against other people's hobbies, a lot of times end up being the biggest representative of that hobby. Stupid. Guarantee you, there's a lot of shows in which there's a character that acts just like you. So they learned how to deal with you. Again, with wrestling. Wrestling is stupid, it's fake. It can't be too stupid, and it can't be too fake. You acting exactly like I watch on Monday night. Got here thinking you Hulkamania. Instead, you Hollywood Hogan. You might be a 34-year-old hip hop influenced Asian woman who moved from Vietnam to Atlanta. Grew up influenced by Future, Migos, Kalani. So you think you one way, but actually a whole different side of it. You a Hollywood Hogan act. Got to be your way or the highway. Need a better understanding that what people like, they like. What they passionate about, they passionate about. What they find pleasure in, they find pleasure in. You don't understand it, that's cool. Cause if it ain't none of your business, none of your business. Don't hate, participate. Don't be ignorant. And you spending more time arguing with other people about what they like. And I guarantee you that stop doing it. Now look at you sitting at home and on the couch, going through old pictures on Instagram, waiting for your next vacation, complaining about somebody else who enjoying every single minute what they got going on because they find happiness and they can live in the happiness and not have to reflect on it. Rather be happy than remember being happy. Find you something safe to do.
Yeah.